Wow, wow, wow. Thanks for joining us today. Out of nowhere, Marvel has just been making it rain on us, and they dropped the X-Men 97 trailer. We're going to quickly react to it. Stay tuned.
All right, we are watching the X-Men trailer. I like how there's a Colossus toy there.
I think you're a little ahead of me, but dude, this is, oh my God, I love it because right off the bat, we got where the last show ended from 97. They're showing it to us like we used to watch on Saturday morning on our TVs. And now it's like, okay, this is picking up right where that left off.
That X-Men anime or that Marvel animation logo, I hope we get to see a lot more of that.
I know, that's interesting, right? I'm like, that's the first time we've seen it. I dig it.
The lower frame rates of 90s cartoons.
Right?
It's just so clean though. It's like 90s cartoons, but polished to all hell.
Polished.
Look at that. Look at those statues out front. Xavier's out there.
Oh, that Sentinel arm though.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sorry, I'm going back a little bit.
Bub. Gotta get the bubs in.
Got it, man.
Storm looks so good.
Dude, Storm looks great.
Bishop, part of the team.
Right, finally, like officially.
And I'm incredibly happy that Gambit is getting the love he deserves.
X-Men.
Yes. Gambit was always the coolest character, man. Like, he always just had so much swag, even back then.
All right, here we go.
The last
Look at him.
will and testament of Charles
Cool team,
Xavier.
man.
Everything he built now belongs to me.
Magneto's in charge. I love how that book has little gold edges on it so he could like float it across the room.
Yeah. Oh, smart. Yeah, they put a little gold finish, metal finish in there for him.
And I just want to go back to that Wolverine moment. You almost miss it.
With Gambit?
Gambit is charging Wolverine's claws. Like, oh,
dude,
beautiful.
I could not miss that. That's so, what a sick premise. I don't think I've seen that anywhere. Like, we definitely didn't get it in the original cartoon, and I don't think I've seen that in the comics. What a genius idea.
I just love those two together. I just love it so much. Storm too, like those two and Storm together, like that is my trio. Woo. And Jean's pregnant, by the way, very pregnant. So
very pregnant. I know. Are we getting Hope Summers in there? Are we getting Nathaniel? Are we getting the Cable story? Like, who? You know, which way are they going to go back?
That would be really cool to start the Cable story off. We've already seen Cable before, so that'd be really nice.
We have, and actually, if you look at season 3 of where the show left off, there's this whole arc of Cable trying to fight Apocalypse, and then he comes back and he meets with Jean Grey and Cyclops, and you know, there's this whole idea. I can't remember if they really know that they're related. I think he does. I think he knows that he's related to them, but it's just like, it was right there, and now maybe that's the reason why they get pregnant, and they're like, we want to make that Cable. You know, I don't know.
You think that's the case? You think they're like aiming to make Cable, or they just like natural? I don't know. I don't want Cable to be made out of just be like necessity for the future. You know?
Yeah, I like it both ways. Like, I'm sure you know, they're in love, and you know, it's like the right time to have a kid for sure. There's that element too, but it's also like, we created something that helps save the future and saves not only mutant race, but human race because of what happens with Sentinels. So there's a cool part of like, yeah, we're in love, but also like, look what our child becomes. You know, I think that's both sides work for me.
And I want to give another shout out to that Marvel animation logo that's in the beginning of this thing. It very much feels like it's part of the MCU now with that new logo. That is clean. And with the death of Charles Xavier, looks like Cyclops is is the actual leader in this one. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. So it's perfect. I'm glad you mentioned that. So at where this ends, I guess, like back in 97, the whole reason this episode happens is because Charles gets sick and there's some disease where he's going to die. And they realize that the only way they can save him is to combine the powers of Magneto and Xavier to reach out to the Shi'ar. So they so they put all their differences aside. The X-Men go to Magneto and say, hey, you're the only person that can save Xavier. And even though this whole show, they're frenemies, but more distant than they are together, Magneto goes, he's the only person I actually care about. He might be my only friend. Like, I'm going to come with you guys and help save him. And so they reach out to the Shi'ar, and Lilandra, the princess from the Shi'ar, comes and basically at the last moment is able to save Charles and bring him. Saves him and brings him out to space. So there's no confirmation whether he like lives or dies. So my suspicion is that he's still alive, but we get to see a new reign under Magneto. And what would that look like? And we've seen it before in the comics. So I feel like I even saw where you have Magneto and Charles in the statues. My suspicion is that it's probably Genosha or Krakoa. So
probably Genosha first, right? They're not going to bring out Krakoa this early.
I don't know, because that would fast forward a lot of things. If you're reading like the current run of things, now we're in the fall of X. But if you look at the rise of X and reign of X, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm still in like the 2021s because I'm trying to read everything. But it's finally this place of they've figured it out, and that the best way moving forward for the future of mutant kind is to work together. And it's because they know 1,000 years into the future how it's going to work out. And the only way it works out of the 14 million and one possibilities, the only one possibility for all of mutant kind to survive is for them to unite. And so I don't know if you bring that into the fold here already. It could make a lot of sense. Genosha gets a little messy too with how Magneto takes a subsection of his mutant kind or his brotherhood, and then tries to build his own society. So I don't know. There's so many different ways they could take it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to get that though. I think they might try to pull the brakes a little bit on how fast they progressed up the X-Men storyline, because the point of 97 is to feel those 90s vibes. And so they might just kind of like make a bad Mr. Sinister's back, something like that, and then just like, let's get him down. I think they might just do that, which is kind of what I'm hoping for. I don't necessarily want them to like go big stories. I want them to just pick a bad guy, Apocalypse, and look, let's go kill him or beat him.
Totally. Yeah. Mr. Sinister, I think that was a great call out, because from all the rumors online, and again, this is just rumors, they're saying that the mutant movie, they're not calling it X-Men. I don't know if it's copyright issues from Fox or whatever, but under Marvel Studios and Disney right now, the rumor is that the main bad guy is Sinister. So I think if you bring him in this cartoon and everybody sees like, oh man, Sinister was a jerk. And he even has an origin story in season 3 of the original cartoon too. And you get to see him kind of slowly progress from like kind of crazy scientist to just like, pale skin and like red eyes and a full on monster. Right.
Yeah.
But this is the place to do it. You leave that in 2 years from now. Let's say the show goes for another 2 seasons or 3 seasons. The movie comes out. Now the general audience has a really strong idea of who Sinister is.
Do you think they're aiming for the general audience with this?
Oh yeah. This looks like it hits everybody. Like, I mean, again, if you've been following us at all in any one of our podcasts, my origin story starts with the X-Men, the animated series, that then translated into comics. And it's so nostalgic for me. But when you walk around a Comic-Con, for example, whether it's San Diego Comic-Con or LA Comic-Con, there is a huge auditorium of people who still know that original cartoon. And if you liked the movies, even in the early 2000s, you wanted more of it, you went back to the cartoon to watch more X-Men.
Yeah.
I think it hits such a wide range of people. No better time than now to bring this back and then bring X-Men to the forefront.
I just wonder if, because everything you mentioned, like if you're listening to a TV movie podcast or a geek related podcast, or if you're going to a Comic-Con, you're in the know. But I think Marvel for the MCU movies tries to go even broader strokes than that. And that's why I'm wondering if they're going to tie it to anything that's in this series. I think this series might just be a love letter to us. And I'm cool with that. Like I want it to be a love letter to us. But I also think that like they're probably going to tiptoe themselves into the X-Men maybe a little bit. I'm not sure. I mean, of the Marvel properties, only Spider-Man is probably more recognizable than X-Men.
True. Yeah. Without a doubt, I think Spider-Man is the most recognizable. When I was sitting in the panel, there was, I'm trying to think of the guy who started it. His name's escaping me right now. Larry Houston, I want to say. He was there with the Lewises, who also were the showrunners. They were consulted on this show. Also, that they said they brought in some new talent, and from what they said, they're like, this is a continuation of the story that you saw in the '97 series, but there's a lot of things we want to progress for the now.
Oh, okay.
So as much as it is a love letter to us, they're trying to capture a whole new audience, like what happened to us when we were kids in the '90s. Like they know that this could be a thing to again attract new kids and new generations. And it's like, if you are our age and you have, a 8-year-old to a 15-year-old, maybe, like, this show is probably going to hit for them too.
Yeah.
And so I think this bridges so many generations, and we've already seen it. Like, we just saw Hugh Jackman pop up in the yellow costume in the Deadpool trailer. Right. Like, we got this Wolverine in the yellow suit. Like, this team is coming to the MCU in live action in some way or the other.
If they want to do this right, like, this is fully what they'll pull from, because I think that the bright colors, even like Jubilee, like every bit of the old cartoon is definitely what I think they should be inspired by. Storyline, I'm not sure how it'll connect too much, but I think this is I was just talking to somebody on Threads who was kind of like, why should we be excited about this? I want a live action one. And I was explaining back to them, oh, well, we all want a live action one, but the hype for this might influence how they make that live action one. And if they see that we're excited for this, they might say like, oh, they want a more simple storyline that's that follows something that they already recognize.
Yeah, absolutely. What I think the original did so well was there was anthology episodes, but at the same time, there was a overall arching narrative for each season.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of this show. It gets to kind of go off on one-off missions with a random character, whether it's Jubilee going to the mall with Rogue and Storm, or it's Wolverine going to Japan to, kind of get back to his roots as
love it. Yeah.
Training with samurai, right? Like it can do that, but at the same time, there's an overarching Apocalypse storyline, or the Dark Phoenix saga that took, I think it was like a 4-parter. That was by far the best Dark Phoenix saga that we've seen in any type of medium other than comic books. Like,
it really is. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no live action thing I feel like has been able to capture it as well as this cartoon did.
Mm-hmm.
So man, it's just all there. It feels so nostalgic and so new at the same time. I think you brought up the animation. It's vibrant, and still the frame rates were dropping, and it feels like new and old at the same time.
It was on purpose. Like, you saw the frame rates, the lower frame rates, which I don't know. I know 24 is kind of like regular TV show. I think it's lower than that. But it was like, oh man, that feels like 90s Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, all of those, that classic era. So yeah, that was really cool. I was happy with that.
Absolutely. And it's so cool that we're finally getting to see, for a lot of people, general audiences, we were just talking about it, they don't know that Magneto actually led the X-Men a few times as well. I love that they're adapting that storyline. I think it's super interesting, right? We've seen the X-Men be led by Professor X in so many different mediums again, and we know what that looks like. He's the father figure who tries to be very pragmatic, and he cares about them, but he's kind of torn. Magneto's a different kind of leader. Absolutely. He's a little bit more cutthroat. He's a little bit more savage. He's like, you know what? None of these humans are ever going to care about you. All we got is each other. Do whatever means necessary. Yeah. And I love that premise, because it completely opposes who looks like the main leader of this storyline, which is Cyclops.
They're going to be butting heads the entire time, and it's going to be. And what I like is Cyclops is going to be that good old American boy. He's very Captain America-esque in that way, where he's like the 90s version of it, of course. He's going to be like, this is what we do to be right. But then Magneto is always playing 3D chess. And so whatever he's telling them to do is for a grander purpose, possibly to bring back Professor X, probably. And so I like the idea of like him giving these orders that feel like he's being too savage, but then also we're going to find out that it's like the entire time but Magneto knew what he was doing. I just can't wait for that reveal. I expect it to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, you just get me so excited. Especially in the Krakoa era, like there is a part where Captain America reaches out to Cyclops and they meet and they have a private meeting. And the amount of respect Cyclops gets from Captain America, you're like, yeah, this is what he deserves. He's always meant to be the leader of the team. And it's just because of Wolverine's popularity, he's kind of overshadowed him. There's nothing wrong with that. But I've always been a Captain America fan, or a Cyclops fan because of that. I think I gave it away because I'm a Captain America fan, because I'm a Leonardo fan from the Power Rangers. You know, it's like I do end up liking some of those leader roles a little bit more. And there's respect there. It's so cool. I just, Magneto. The other thing I'm going to say about Magneto is he is meant to be just as smart and capable as Professor X, but again, his means are different. Like they go back. I think Stan Lee even said it. Like they were supposed to be an allegory for Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Exactly. Both people who wanted equality, both people who wanted everybody to be equal, which I guess is equality. But at the same time, like the means that they went about it were different, right? And that's the thing. Like they want the same goal. I think Magneto is going to be incredible to watch in this role for this show.
I mean, I'm so hyped for this. March 20th, guys. 35 days from now, and there's 76 episodes. So if you watch a little more than 2 episodes a day, you're caught up of the original series. So you could like get all warmed up for it.
I love that. I love that you broke that down. That's awesome. The last thing I want to throw in there is I also got to speak to Lenore Zan at LA Comic-Con recently. She's the voice of Rogue, and she talked about the casting process and how she got hired in the first place. But basically, they were going around looking for the voice of Rogue, and they said they auditioned like 1,000 people. And they said when she walked in and she dropped those first couple lines, they're like, that's it. That's what she needs to sound like. And she can still do it. It sounds like if you close your eyes and you look at it, you just see Rogue's face. Yeah. I love how they updated the model on her too. I
actually have that frame frozen right now where it feels that she is the one that looks the most modern at everybody now because the eyeliner and stuff like that changed. Yeah.
Right. And she looks incredible, but hopefully we get to speak to her a little bit more in the future. But she's like, what they've been able to do with the character in this new show. She's like, for fans of Rogue, she said, I think they're going to be really, really happy.
That's cool. Who's not a fan of Rogue? You're crazy.
Right. Yeah.
She's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah. Man, yeah. Gosh, everybody's so cool. The voices are all classic again. You made up a great point of bringing Bishop into the official team. I love that. For those who don't know, one of the most unexpected popular characters in the first season of the animated show was Morph. And so we see that there is a little bit of a change in what he looks like in this show. So for people who didn't realize, that's Morph, who's kind of the white bald head. Yeah, that's him. So they updated his modeling to look more like the comics. Yeah. And they didn't want to do that in the 90s because they were afraid people wouldn't like get it or really like connect with that character. Well, it's a new age and it's a new day, and people are more receptive to superheroes and crazy looks and costumes. So I appreciate that they've kind of went with a more comic accurate looking Morph.
If you guys, I know he's also on the cover of the new X-Men comic book coming out. So on March 27th, they're releasing a prequel comic book that's going to be tying to the series. It's going to be filling you in on a post Professor X X-Men. So check that out as well, guys. It's going to be the primary 3 characters is Jubilee, Wolverine, and Storm. But of course, I'm going to hit on the entire team. So that'll be dope. I'm looking forward to that as well. Gotta get added to the pool list, the freaking expensive pool list that I got over there.
The ever-growing pool list. Exactly. Man. Oh, that's so smart. Like those 3 people work great. One connects the kids, one everybody loves Wolverine, and then Storm has been a leader for the X-Men numerous times, and it's just such a boss. Like, God, dude, she had this amazing run recently in like X of Swords these last few years. Again, I'm not caught up to Fall of X yet, but I'm gonna get there, and I should be there before this starts. It is such a great time to be an X-Men fan. I am so effing pumped, man. This is amazing.
It's good times. All right, guys, we're going to be reviewing, obviously, the show every episode it comes out with. I mean, that's a given. I think everybody knows that. Right now, we're reviewing every Halo, so make sure you guys tune in for that as well. All right, thank you for joining us, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Aloha.